Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, listeners. This is your host, Andy Curry. Thank you for joining us today because I am fired up because I have on the line with me GuruMeher Khalsa. Now, he has been speaking professionally for 10 years. The content he speaks on is something that I think that concerns everyone, and that is emotional wellness. He speaks primarily in the U.S., but also has done lots of international speaking. He is based out of California, and he has written a book called Senses of the Soul, Emotional Therapy for Strength, Healing, and Guidance. So, GuruMeher, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much, Andy. Glad to be here.
We're very happy that you're here with us. Now, I'd like to ask you for the listeners to tell us about your speaking business. Who are you talking to? How are you helping them? What are you teaching them?
My audiences tend to be people who are already working on their health, that they are often into alternative kinds of healing, or they're self-help kind of people, self-improvement kind of people. Sometimes more in the business world, and sometimes more in the self-help world. But the common thread is people who are what we call self-improvers. They usually read both business and health books about how to improve their lives, and that's what I've spent my life doing, is helping people improve their lives. I started out as a life coach and yoga teacher. So my background is in sort of alternative therapies. And the age range is generally people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, I would say. And sometimes plenty of people on the other side of both ends of that. But people who are come to my talks are ready to make changes. And or have pain, Andy. You know, people come both because they're looking for more, and sometimes they're just looking for a way out of their pain.
People do have pain and searching for answers, especially, I think, in the emotional wellness. So I know that your talk is umbrellaed under that. So give some examples of what you're teaching people. What do you find, for example, is the most common thing people seem to have trouble with that you're able to help them with?
Well, let me just first give a little background. I, as a professional life coach, was doing a lot of personal coaching, and even when people came to me for business growth issues, I found this phenomenon that because people would really let me inside their heads and inside their hearts and lives, and what I found is, Andy, we all look great walking around, and we're social animals, but so we keep up a good look, thank God, but inside, there's just a lot of hidden pain, mentally, emotionally. And so when I started seeing that was such a common thread for people, that's where I focused on helping them. And so people come to me with just all kinds of discomforts. It's their relationship. They really can't. They usually just come like, this thing isn't working for me. And what's amazing is most people don't know what they're feeling or why they're feeling it. So I take all kinds of different problems that people are having in their lives and help them understand what they're feeling. So they don't usually know. Now, depression, 1 in 10 people in our country is on medication for depression, another 1 in 10 for anxiety disorders. And that's just the people that are medicated by a doctor. That doesn't include everybody who's medicated in other ways. And people just don't know how to handle how they're feeling. I feel like it's the last frontier in, I've watched, I don't know how old you are. I'm 60. And so I've watched the whole physical health industry go from nothing to, billions of dollars a year. Mental health is certainly a medical priority, and physical health. But emotional health, we're still pretty clueless. So I have one mission, and that is that every human being, when they don't feel good, when they feel bad, I mean emotionally mostly, mentally and emotionally, that every human being could know what they're feeling, why they're feeling it, what they can do about it, and be able to do it. Those 4 simple steps. And when you think that very few people are actually able to do that. When I feel bad, I know how to feel better. So that's my little mission with Senses of the Soul. And it's actually, what I found is we have the equipment built inside of us to do that. It's in our emotions, even those ones that feel bad. So we're talking grief, depression, anger, fear, shame and guilt, and desire. Those are the 7 heavy ones that I deal with. So the main thing that I found is that those difficult emotions that we don't like, that don't feel good, that we want to get away from, that we want to medicate out of, are bringing us messages about what's wrong and what we need to do. So hence Senses of the Soul, that your soul is this very peaceful part of you, and that it sends you actually what we consider negative messages to get our attention and bring us back to well-being, to happiness, to feeling good. And so in my talks, it's very practical. I give a little theory like I've just given you, but then we practice. And practice usually means closing your eyes. And I'm like a tour guide. I help people be able to navigate their inner world. And first thing I do is help them feel strong and clear. And little breathing exercises that come from yoga help me with that. Once people are stronger and clear, I just get them to see what they're feeling. And I've become quite masterful at guiding people safely through first experiencing what they're feeling without any fear of that. We usually have fear of fear and fear of our depression. Mm-hmm. And in really just a few minutes, certainly in a 1-hour talk, people feel better. They not only walk away understanding a lot, but with real tools about how to feel better the next time they are feeling bad emotionally.
I think that's huge for to understand what you're feeling, because as an example, and I know you know this well, but if somebody's angry at another person, it may be because they're hurt. They're not just because that's where it came from, the anger. So deciphering.
Yep.
Deciphering.
Well said, Andy.
That's done.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, just deciphering where that comes from and to really understand it, I think, is huge. So how do you help them do that?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned, you're very accurate with anger. So with each emotion, I first teach people a general approach to all emotions. And that is simply to stop, get strong and clear. So, when you feel emotions strongly, let's say in your example, I'm really angry at somebody. We know in brain science that it's your midbrain, it's your more primitive animal brain that literally takes over. And so that's why people do stupid things or things that they regret later, or when they're very emotional. We feel out of control. We feel the slave to our emotion, because literally as a survival technique, evolutionarily, we developed where our conscious brain, our forebrain, is shut down and the emotion is actually ruling us. So I first help people, it's really mindfulness techniques. Mindfulness is very well known these days as being very nicely scientifically proven of all its benefits. So I help people just with some simple mindful techniques so that the forebrain, their awareness, their consciousness is still active while the emotion is active. And that's really the whole trick in terms of brain science, is to get someone to be able to encounter their emotion without losing themselves to it. And so that's the basic technique. 4 steps. You stop and get clear and feel what you're feeling. That's really the thing that amazes most people. Like, let me stop and, from a clear point of view, feel my fear. And what happens is, we're usually afraid of our own fear, but we find, I can feel that. I don't really like how it feels, but, or in your case, the anger, I can feel it. And once I get somebody consciously, mindfully aware of their anger or fear, I then guide them, well, what's the purpose of that anger? Why did it come up? So it's almost like an internal dialogue, but not so much in your thoughts, more in your feelings, to just have a dialogue with this anger. And I do this every single time I do a talk or a workshop, and I get group sharing, and people go, oh, I heard that, this, that, and the other, and they come out with these amazing things you'd read in a book somewhere. So my work is part of a shift in our times where we used to look to other experts to tell us what's going on with us, and now we're in a transition where we now can go to ourselves and find out what's wrong. So that's the basic technique. Get in a clear, mindful dialogue with the emotion, and it comes up with some amazing answers, telling us what we need to do so that anger will step down. Once it's done its job, it leaves us in peace again.
You asked me a little bit ago, you said, I don't know how old you are, but you said I'm 60. Well, I'm 53, and I've noticed the last 3 to 4 years of my life, especially the last 2 or 3, how incredibly important peace of mind is. And that's really what you're striving for, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the goal of all yoga. It's the goal of most religions, peace of mind, to feel calm, clear, expansive, loving, safe, all these things that all humans would agree are very pleasant states of being. Yes. And I think we've done this grand experiment certainly in the United States that, back out of the Depression, there was a lot of scarcity. And so we've spent a good half century or more developing where we have plenty of stuff, but by all the statistics from murder, suicide, divorce, and drug use, all that stuff hasn't really helped. And so we're now at a point to look beyond that. What beyond physical things can make us in that peaceful state? And it really takes going inside and sorting things out. So in a nutshell, I'm just teaching people to go inside and work out within themselves whatever is disturbing them. And the phenomenal thing is we all have the ability to, once we have enough to eat, okay, we have to have enough to eat, we have to have enough, shelter over our head and enough safety so we can relax. But once we have that, and there have been studies to prove this, over about, I think, $60,000, depending on where you live, could be 30 or 40. More money doesn't really make people more peaceful. So then the work has to shift from outer concerns to inner concerns. So yes, peace of mind is a rare commodity, and that's, if I'm selling anything, that's what I'm selling. And my path to get there for people is their emotional skills, emotional mastery.
I think too, doesn't what you eat and how you exercise play a huge part in your peace of mind?
Sure, and there's plenty of information about that. I mean, I was talking about the physical health industry and how it's grown over the last half century, and the knowledge is out there. People either do it or they don't, but the knowledge is there. But absolutely, if your brain is how you think and how you feel is dependent on that you have good blood chemistry, and that's where I started out. My sideline was a yoga teacher, and so teaching people about health.
Right.
Yes. But that science is well known. What's really, we're just at the beginning of this last frontier of emotional wellness. So that's where I felt like I could. My career evolved into. That's where I felt I could help people more, where they know a lot less. There's less information about this out there.
Well, you're a man after my own heart, because the last, like I said, 2 or 3 years of my life, that has really entered my thoughts, just how important peace of mind is. I really strive for that, and I do some meditation, and I start out my day try to start out with a minimum of 5 minutes of what I'm grateful for. And what I've noticed is not just saying what you're grateful for, but really feeling why you're grateful for it. That's important.
Well, that's interesting. Yes. If you're around in the 80s and affirmations came out, positive affirmations, right?
Right.
And that was, even in business, that was like this big tool and technique, and it's good stuff. But what we found out is, if I wake up and say, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and I can't pay my rent, what actually happens is I feel bad, that I'm actually not, and so what's happened in the last 10 years is, and you see this in many techniques, you have to say something that you really feel is true, and when you say it, you feel good. So that's why gratitude is such an amazing technique, because at the moment you feel gratitude, you can't just say, hey, okay, I should be grateful for my wife. If you're mad at your wife, it won't work.
No,
but
it won't.
If there's a moment where you do truly feel, that's the trick, is to get to that gratitude. And when you feel it, it changes if they hook you up to all kinds of physical measurements, you relax, your heart is open, you feel calm, because you're actually feeling love. Gratitude is just a way to open your sense of feeling love and loved, and safe too. So yes, good point. You have to, any technique like that, you've got to feel it. So you're highlighting the importance of feelings. I can think anything I want, but my thoughts generate feelings, and the feelings are really what almost, let's say I've got enough my body's not in pain right now, and let's say I've got a beautiful home and wife and everything that a person could think they want, but I can still feel really awful. I can feel
Sure.
bad about myself. I can feel like I haven't done enough. I can feel guilty for what I did yesterday to make all this money, and so you just don't get peace of mind without dealing with whatever's troubling you emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. That is terrific advice. Well, how can people get a hold of you should they want you to speak to their audience? And before you give that out, also, do you have something on your website that you can help people with, that they can download or buy or whatever to help them with this if you don't get a chance to connect with them personally?
Oh, absolutely. The website is sensesofthesoul.com, and it's really loaded with a lot of information, videos, all kinds of free goodies on there to actually first learn. So there's some information. You got to switch your thinking about emotions, and then there's techniques. So there's plenty of actual meditative techniques, videos, and things like that to give people a little sample. And then I've got, my book is it's a retraining. It's not something I start in the introduction and say, look, this isn't just something to read, because if you want to really make change, you got to change your habits and your way of thinking and your way of feeling. So it's a workbook. There are 55 exercises in it, and they're very simple. You usually sit, you close your eyes, you breathe a little bit, and then I guide you through. So I'm finding that you can not only buy the book, but I've got an audio book, and so you can either download that, or I send you a zip drive, and it's like got 50 hours of material on it. And for someone to be able to just sit, listen to me lead you through, and you can choose on the menu, once you've got the audio book, I'm feeling anxiety, so you go right to this. There's 5 meditations to help with anxiety and fear. Just listen to it. I've never met anyone that didn't feel better after a 10 to 15 minute meditation like that. So and I do a full course. I do a 9-month training that's done on the phone and online with videos, full 36 1-hour videos. And I'm just finishing a group. They're in their 7th of 9 months. And let me say, Andy, the future of therapy is self-therapy. And I've got people that have been in therapy 20 years who have never really had many problems, but they're just feel like, they're not very happy with their lives. And it's tremendous what a person can do on their own with a little guidance to really change their lives. So the 9-month course is my best. When I can work with somebody over time, I can really produce results. So, but in a shorter, live events, people can just contact me, and I do anywhere from full weekend workshops to 1-hour presentations. I can do a shorter presentation, but in an hour, people leave there just feeling so good and going home with some techniques that are very, very useful. So that's the best way to contact me. And it's just me and my assistant, so I'm still a small organization, so I'm still very available by phone. And I'm a life coach, so it's very important that I, have regular contact with people. So I'm very easy to reach and very happy to talk to people.
Okay. Well, GuruMeher, thank you very much for your information. It was fascinating to have you pull back the curtain and show us about that. I've talked to lots of speakers and I interviewed a lot, and this is the first time I've run into someone teaching this topic, and I think it's hugely important, so thank you.
You're going to see, you're welcome, and thank you, and you're going to see that in the next few decades, this is the next big thing in terms of people's wellness. I don't know if you saw this Disney movie Inside Out, but it was all about emotions, and I actually agreed with quite a bit of it, and the producers did actually a lot of research for some accuracy. But when I first started doing this work, it was like sort of strange to be talking about. People didn't really, you didn't hear it much, but now every day, in the Oprah magazine, The Importance of Emotions, it's just coming out. You're going to see this really develop. And the good news is, in the next few decades, all this emotional pain that most people live with, and some very intensely, we're going to get it figured out. And people are going to be, just in our lifetime, Andy, people are going to be a lot happier, a lot more peace of mind, as you said. And I'm really happy to be just a small part of that revolution.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.